Good morning. Day 3. Really nice morning. Blue skies. Slept like a baby. And still see here. Recovered and ready according to my watch. 8 hours and 33 minutes of sleep. Will you believe it? Anyway, making some coffee and breakfast, and then we'll head to Vienna. And see if we can get a bike ride in, and then maybe we'll do the talk on how you can use the Dunning Kruger effect and how you can be what the positive spin of it all is on the bike, or I'll wait until we get back in the car if it's too noisy out. Anyway, tomorrow the course starts. Looking forward. Parked the car, parking garage. Seems a little bit more safe than out on the street. Bike's all ready. Bike rider's all ready. All we need to do is go upside, get a GPS signal, plan a route, and bang out some Ks. This is a weird town to drive a bike in. Right now I'm in the middle of the street, like on the bus lane, and I'm supposed to go into a street over there that is a one-way street, but except for bikes. It sounds really safe. Feels completely weird driving against the traffic. It's something coming from someone who grew up in Amsterdam riding a bike. Of course, left against the traffic. Why not? That one. Left. Okay. Look at that arrow thing. Alright, it looks like we're out of the city. It is, according to Google, is a fairground that's free to enter. There's no entrance fee, except there is a fee for all the rides. And that's apparently a very old, very famous Ferris wheel. Looks like train carts on the side. Very unusual design. Anyway, this is like a huge park of some sorts with this wide road in the middle and people running, biking, whatever. But whoever designed the bike paths in Vienna is definitely not a cyclist. I seem to be at the end of this pier I've been, or like island in the middle of the river I've been driving on. GPS is telling me to turn around. But this is actually quite clear water for a river. Look at that. Really looks good. Anyway, I'm about 23k into the ride. First couple of intervals are done. Finally, here out in this bike path here. It's nice. The carrots on the road, if you know what I mean. Like there's another carrot on the bridge. Can't help myself. There's a biker in front of me. I gotta catch it. Right. Anyway, making my way back to the town, unfortunately, but I think I can get all the good work done on the way back here. And it's kind of the same as in diving, right? I mean, sometimes you want to train something, but sometimes the situation just doesn't let you train in that specific spot what you want to train, and you just got to make the most of it. So same thing happens here. I had to do some intervals, and constantly I see the computer beeping at me, as you can probably hear in the background. You're going too fast, or you're going too slow, or you're pushing too hard, or you're pushing not hard enough. Well, what can you do? You're standing in front of a traffic light. You know, I gotta stop. I finally got out here and got to do some quality riding, which is nice. And that's the same thing in diving. Sometimes you just gotta take your time to find your spot where you can do some quality training. And other times you just have to enjoy the scenery and see what it's like. Alright, enough jabbling about. Gotta get a drink and then back on the bike. Ooh. It's a power plant. I guess they can lower it in the water, and like a modern water mill, I guess. I don't know if you can see. Over and under a bridge at the same time. Little tree in the middle. Stay there. Back in Crazy Town. Made it back. Holy crap. 50k of crazy. That was a fun experience. I guess this is the Vienna cycling experience. But anyway, a little bit of food and then swimming. This stuff is amazing. It's like these biscuits in a paste form on a piece of bread. Oh my god. So one of these and a banana. Cars backed up, bikes back in. Go upstairs and see if I can finally get this swimming. Oh, finally got a swim in. Lovely. And a 50-meter pool even. You know, very nice. A lot of people in there, but I can't complain. It was nice temperature. Nice, beautiful swimming pool. So, off to dinner. I need some food. I'm starving. So, car's down there. But I'm gonna check out this street right up here and see if there's a restaurant there. And then come back. Yeah, I was supposed to find some dinner, but found this little park instead. Then I figured do my final talk about how can you apply Dunning Kruger effect or be aware of it in your diving going forward. Kind of like finalize this whole talk we've had. And I think it boils down to your motivation. Your motivation to progress in diving, especially. Of course, your motivation to progress in life is a different talk, but similar thing applies, I guess. So when we look at motivation that sticks, at least when I talk personally, it's the intrinsic motivation that always gets me out the door. Facts and figures are nice, but they're for me a way to get to my goal, which is based upon an intrinsic motivation. And what I mean by that is, for example, within sports, I have an intrinsic goal to become better, to push myself so I can get the most out of my physical capabilities and mental capabilities. It is not a medal or a certain classification or whatever. By part is a time goal I have in mind, because no goal is complete if it's not measurable. So yes, I have a time goal, but the races that I do, for me, are kind of like the icing on the cake. I like the training, I like the process, I like to witness the progression during the training, how I can become better, and especially with this godforsaken swimming. I mean, swimming is a fascinating sport. I mean, it is so heavily based on proper technique that the harder you work at it, the slower you go, basically. And it's such a heavily reliant on the feeling for the water. And you would think someone with my background has a good feeling for the water, but I guess I do, but on the other end of my body. So anyway, so when we look at intrinsic motivation in scuba diving, it could be to feel that you are more in control underwater. Now, even though that sounds a bit fluffy, but if you feel like you've all had these dives, right? You come out of the water, you're like, okay, this was a really nice dive. Everything just went smoothly. And then you have a bad dive where you couldn't quite get everything to do what you wanted it to do. The more of those dives you have, the more frustrating it gets. So an intrinsic motivation could be, I'd just like to get better at controlling myself underwater. If the goal is linked to a certification, your focus is on that certification and you're not enjoying the process of getting you there. And the training we do and the road to an eventual certification is why we do it, because the certification doesn't really mean anything, right? I mean, it's a plastic card that states some limits, but does that mean that gives you joy, that gives you satisfaction? I don't think so. And if it does, it's probably, if you think hardly about it, it's probably not that gives you the satisfaction. So if you focus on a fixed outcome, and that's your sole focus and sole motivation, it might go well the first time, the first couple of dives, but then eventually you lose the motivation, you lose track. And what do you do when you got that card? Then what? What do you do when you've, accomplished that level? And then what? You go diving, right? You go diving to that level. But what's the goal? Like, now you have this card. So the goal wasn't the card. The goal was to go doing the dives you want to do that the card enables you to do. So try to shift your focus into digging a little bit into what is the proper motivation for becoming better. That allows you to focus on the process, which in turn gives you a greater satisfaction. And actually, Aristotle had it right. He says there's no happiness without suffering, and when you or hardship, and it's kind of true. And it's a term called eudemonia. Eudemonia is a quest for happiness, but based on the road to get you there. So without going into the whole like old Greek philosophy explanation, what it basically means is if you've accomplished something that you worked hard for and endured hardship over, the satisfaction of getting to that goal is so much greater. Eudemonia. So if you're just say, okay, hey, you sign up for a scuba class and you're doing 2 days of training and you don't really feel like you're learning anything, you're kind of going through the motions, and at the end of those 2 days you get a card and a pat on the back and hey, happy days. Does that make you happy? Or, does that satisfy your needs? I don't know. For some it might. The people who usually come and dive with us, that's not the case. We put people through a hard but justified and progressive learning curve that really makes them think and makes them work at achieving a certain level. And that level is linked with a certification, that's fine. But it's also sometimes, sorry, I feel a sneeze coming. Oh, excuse me. I have this when I come out of the pool. Anyway, where was I? Vienna. Swimming pool. Oh yeah. So when you go through the motions and just get a pat on the back and haven't really pushed yourself or haven't really felt that you've learned or done something differently than you've done before, except now you've maybe done it in different equipment or different setting, it doesn't really help you. Whereas we see when people get the certification that comes with going through the classes, the level of satisfaction is much greater. Eudemonia. Now, with us, we always say everyone passes classes, just not everyone passes the class at the same time. And it's kind of true, because a certification, again, shouldn't be the end goal. It should be your self-confidence in being able to do what the card says that you are now able to do. So if we look at that beautiful Dunning Kruger effect chart, we want to get you on the second slope, the slope of enlightenment, as it's called. We want to get you moving upwards down that trajectory where there's a more gradual relationship between your competence and your confidence. That's the optimal goal for us as instructors within UTD, is to move you from that steep slope, and especially away from Mount Stupid, to the path of enlightenment. That's what we want to get you to. So yeah, my little 2 cents on motivation and the achievement of Eudemonia. One of our instructors in Texas is also a big fan of that statement. He takes it to heart. He's even got it printed on the side of his dry suit pocket, which I think is very cool. I'm convinced that through the training that we provide within UTD, you can achieve a higher level of satisfaction, because the path to get there is a bit harder for some, and that's not a bad thing, you know. It's like, I mean, again, if I take it back to sports, I'm now training for another half Ironman distance, but I can do that tomorrow. I can jump in the pool tomorrow, swim 2K. I just swam 3. I can go on my bike and ride 90K, as I rode my bike earlier today for 50K, so another 40K is no problem. I can run a half marathon. I ran 16K yesterday. I can also run 21. So just the act of doing it, for me, that's not an achievement. I've put something else. I've kind of see, how can I perfect my performance in such a way that I get out of it what I want to get out of it. Trying to push my body to the limit. That's what I find is interesting. But if everyone has a different mindset, right? I mean, again, we developed our course materials with the end goal in mind, and that's not necessarily the same thing as saying everyone should reach that specific end goal, right? The reason why we developed the course materials like that is that if you so desire to go that way, you're not in a situation where you have to relearn certain things. And I think that's very important. I think if you're on a path of development as a diver, it's so frustrating to go, oh, but now I want to go into technical diving. And but I've learned with a jacket style BCD and split fins and this hand signal for when I'm half out of gas. And And then your instructor goes, well, you can't use that now. You want to use different hand signals. Oh, by the way, that fancy BCD you bought, we can't use that either. And those split fins, yeah, no, you're gonna need to learn a back kick and frog kick, and those fins aren't really suitable for that. So it's like, what's the point? So that's the reason for the way we developed our system in a more linear and holistic approach, holistic way. That way you can grow along the line and enjoy that all the way through. So it's a nice town here. I'm gonna enjoy a night in Vienna, find something to eat, because now I'm definitely hungry, and then drive to Bratislava tomorrow. Well, made my way downtown. Oh my God, this city is huge. Like the buildings, look. It's all these like grandiose buildings, like a statue like that. I mean, there's buildings like that in every major city, like Amsterdam or, whatever. But this is on another level. Every building could be a palace. Crazy. I'm on my way to the big church in the middle of the center, and there must be something to eat around there. Decided to go the tourist way and see a little bit of this big city since I'm here. I saw parts of it on the bike earlier, but not this part obviously, because this is the main shopping street, I guess. Everything is closed, but I don't like to do that kind of shopping anyway. So, well, like this. Look at that. Look at the entry. And it's a H&M, very basic store. But apparently make it into something fancier. Oh my God, that's a basilica. Look at that. Holy moly. That is huge. Imagine the effort it took to build that. That level of detail. I mean, no amount of money in the world would ever be able to pay or buy something like that again. Whew. Oh well, now I've seen it. Walk around a little bit. Well, found a spot. Not the spot that I initially looked at. I found this like along the river area with like parking spots that I think are normally used for recreation, so people can park the car there, go for a run or bike ride along the river. But at nighttime it looked very dodgy. Like it was quiet. Obviously it's 10 o'clock. And random cars kept like pulling up, sitting there for a while, and then driving off, blinking with their lights. It was really weird. So either they're coming there with the person their husband or wife doesn't want them to know about, or they're doing other stuff that wasn't exchanging postage stamp collections, if you understand what I mean. So I figured, I don't want to chance it. So I'm doing the boring thing. I'm at a normal place where you can go along the freeway to rest your eyes together with all the truckers. So not as idyllic, not as nice and quiet, and the motorway is right next to me, but it'll be fine. I've only got 45 minutes drive tomorrow morning, so it'll be fine. I'm gonna tuck in and thank Vienna for a nice evening. That burger was fantastic, by the way. Really nice. So good night. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, remember, like and subscribe.